Have you ever found yourself still eating, sleeping, going to work, but the fire inside has gone out? Each day passes the same. Your mind in turmoil, your body exhausted, your heart hardened, no longer feeling truly alive. If that's where you are, this video is a wake-up call. Grounded in Stoic philosophy, we will walk through 3 ruthless rules to rebuild your mind, your body, and your heart, helping you regain sharpness, inner calm, and a life truly ruled by you. The premise, you are not living, you are merely existing, is the first punch to the viewer's comfort zone. The image of a person at 35, then 45, then 65, still going to work, still eating, still having someone beside them, but empty inside. That is not just a scene from a movie, it is the real life of many people. We grow up, go to work, get married, and that image strikes at the deepest fear of a stoic human being. To live an unconscious life, letting time pass without ever truly being present. Stoic philosophy does not ask you, "Are you happy?" It asks, "Are you awake? Do you know what you are doing with each passing day?" We grow up, go to work, get married, have children, take on responsibilities, and at some point, we no longer remember the last time our hearts raced for something. Every day is just a repetition. Alarm, work, phone, social media, sleep. The body runs like a machine, and the mind moves as if it were stuck in autopilot mode. The piercing question is, since when did I disappear? It strikes at the deepest fear of a Stoic. Living an unconscious life, letting time slip away while you are never truly present. Stoic philosophy does not ask you whether you are happy. It asks, are you awake? Do you know what you are doing with each day you've been given? When the author connects this state of existing without living to Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, Epictetus, the message becomes incredibly powerful. Whether you are an emperor, a wealthy philosopher, or a chained slave, they all realize the same truth. If you want to rebuild your life, you do not start with money, status, or other people. You start from within yourself. The mind, the body, the heart, the 3 most fundamental realms. The 3 ruthless rules are introduced as 3 levels of rebirth: fixing the mind, fixing the body, fixing the heart. Ruthless, because they do not soothe you, do not make excuses for you, do not allow you to hide in the role of a victim. But it is precisely this ruthlessness that makes them liberating. The author places the viewer at an obvious crossroads. Either continue to exist in a hazy state or accept the emptiness within and begin rebuilding. This is a compelling premise for a Stoic-style motivational video. No sugarcoating, no cheap comfort, but an awakening. It doesn't tell you, it's okay. Things will get better eventually. It asks you, how many days do you have left to live, not just exist truly? And that question itself is the actual starting point of all change. If, in the previous part, we realize that we are merely existing, rather than truly living, then the first rule is the most straightforward. If you want to reclaim your life, you must start with your mind. Without the mind, every other effort collapses. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not over what happens outside it." If you only skim this line, it sounds obvious, but when you look at modern life, you'll see how quietly we have handed that power over to countless things: social media, the news, comparison, and constant distraction. We let notifications on our phones decide our mood. We let someone else's post determine our sense of self-worth. The mind, instead of being a lamp that lights the way, is dragged around from one place to another. That is why the rule, fix the mind, suakaido truk, is an obvious invitation. Reclaim sovereignty over your own mind. And that journey is not vague. It begins with 4 ruthless but straightforward steps. Step 1. Detox the mind. For 7 days, just 30 minutes every morning. No scrolling, no junk news, no drama. Instead, read philosophy, read stories of people who overcame hardship, and learn a small skill. Here, What matters is not what's the coolest thing to read, but a shift in perspective. Don't call it reading, call it training. Because your mind is not a trash bin, it is a weapon. Step 2. Change the question from, what do I want to have, to, who do I want to become? Stoicism doesn't care how much you own. It cares about what kind of person you are turning yourself into. It's not just, I want to lose weight, but, I am someone who respects my body. Not just, I want to be successful, but, I am the kind of person who lives with discipline and character. Step 3. Break the invisible prison called limiting beliefs. Phrases like, I'm not good enough, it's too late, are not truths. They are walls you've built yourself. When you rewrite them as, I'm learning to prioritize what matters, every moment is a new beginning. Each sentence becomes a hammer blow, striking at your old ego. Step 4 is to build a daily ritual for training the mind. In the morning, write down 3 thoughts that make you stronger, and 3 thoughts that make you weaker. During the day, catch in the act your negative thoughts and replace them. In the evening, look back and ask, today, was my mind serving me or sabotaging me? This is not some rosy think positive game, but disciplined thinking, like a warrior standing firm in the middle of a chaotic battlefield of information. And only when the mind has been repaired does the rest of your life have a real chance to be reborn. If the first rule helps the viewer reclaim sovereignty over their mind, then the second rule is an equally ruthless reminder. A clear head cannot stay long inside a broken body. From here, the flow of the content moves very naturally from the inner world to the physical one, where every ideal, every discipline, every intention is forced to pass through the body to become real. Marcus Aurelius's reminder, you were not born to curl up under the covers, but to act like a human being, is a compelling choice. It immediately strikes at a very modern habit: staying up late, waking up late, procrastinating, and using tiredness as an excuse to avoid life and purpose. A rotten hull makes every spiritual voyage nothing more than theory. From a Stoic point of view, the body is not something to be indulged, nor merely a tool for making money, but the hull that carries the mind. Equating eating equals discipline is a powerful way to pull philosophy down into everyday life. Every time you put food into your mouth, you are making a choice, either moving closer to the person you want to become, or continuing to live as your old version. Here, the author is not demanding that the viewer be perfect, only that they be conscious. That is the spirit of Stoicism, not extreme, but relentlessly honest with oneself. Next, the idea sleep equals the energy of the intellect is a vital perspective. People love to talk about mindset, goals, dreams, but very few are willing to look at something even more basic. Are we sleeping enough? The line, every pointless late night is stealing the strength of tomorrow, is both vivid and painfully accurate. 7 to 8 hours of sleep, once seen as a luxury, are elevated into a ritual of self-respect, very much in tune with Stoic self-mastery. The part movement equals emotional transformation offers concrete solutions. When anxious, walk. When angry, run. When feeling lost, lift weights and breathe deeply. You don't need a gym, only willpower, a message that both dissolves excuses and emphasizes the power of action. Every time you move, it becomes an affirmation. I am still in command of my body. That is pure Stoicism, mastery instead of complaint. Finally, choosing hardship, voluntary discomfort, is where the training spirit of this philosophy shows itself most clearly. Cold showers, simple sleeping arrangements, less sugar, consistent practice. These minor inconveniences are upgraded into exercises of will. I can endure this. I do not need comfort to continue. The closing line, my body is a temple, and I am its faithful guardian, is both symbolic and strong enough to become a personal vow, ideally suited to be engraved deep in the viewer's mind after they've passed through the second rule. If the second rule helps the viewer stand up and reclaim ownership of their body, then the third rule is the deeper descent. Once the body is steady, we no longer have an excuse to avoid the pain in the heart. And here, the author chooses a deeply humane angle. You are not broken. This line dissolves the feeling of, there is something wrong with me, while pointing straight at our defense mechanism. We build walls, so we won't be hurt again. But those very walls also block joy, connection, and our ability to feel life truly. The first step, finding the heart again through silence, is an extremely Stoic choice. No running away into music, no burying yourself in your phone, just sitting still with yourself. The 3 questions given are all strikes that cut very deep. If I could not fail, how would I live? What am I pretending not to care about, even though I care deeply? When no one is watching, who am I really? The answers that make your chest tighten, that's where the truth is hiding. This is no longer a self-help technique. It is a serious dialogue with your own conscience, perfectly aligned with the spirit of Stoicism. The second step, laying down the burden of the past, leads the audience into the heavy emotions we all carry: anger, regret, shame, fear. The image of writing down one thing you forgive each night is a small ritual, but rich in healing power. In particular, the line, "Not because they deserve peace, but because you deserve relief," shifts the focus away from the one who caused the hurt and back to the one practicing forgiveness. Forgiveness is no longer some lofty moral act. It becomes the simple act of unlocking the chain around your own ankles, a powerful image that easily anchors itself in the viewer's mind. Finally, when speaking about living with purpose, the heart beats to connect. The author introduces the concept of sympatheia, the idea that all living beings are interconnected. The quote from Marcus, "What harms the hive, harms the bee," helps the audience understand that they do not exist in isolation, and that the heart truly rediscovers its vitality when it is used to give, to help, and to create value for others. Life purpose, therefore, is no longer a vague thing you have to go find, but something that is created through daily actions. This is a very skillful way to end. It opens up a positive horizon while preserving philosophical depth, and at the same time urges the viewer to keep walking on their own path of transformation. When the third rule awakens the numb heart, the viewer no longer just understands change, they begin to feel it. And it's precisely at this point that the transition into the section, the circle of rebirth, mind, body, heart, becomes completely natural. The author isn't simply listing 3 separate rules, but showing how they weave into each other, forming a living system, a continuous circle of transformation. The idea that the 3 rules are not separate but form a circle is a brilliant touch. Fixing the mind gives the body direction. If the head is not clear on how it wants to live, every effort to train the body easily turns into a passing trend, an impulse that fizzles out. Training the body gives the heart emotional strength, a heart that longs to love, to forgive, to live meaningfully, but is trapped in an exhausted, energy-depleted body will, sooner or later, collapse, and opening the heart gives the mind the fire to continue. If all you have is dry discipline, without purpose, without connection, without feeling, the mind will eventually cool down and turn mechanical. These 3 elements keep cycling, feeding each other, pushing each other further, precisely in the Stoic spirit. Balanced, realistic, but never cold. Bringing in the character James as a vivid illustration is a convenient choice for YouTube content. Instead of speaking in pure theory, the author tells the story of an ordinary man, burned out, distant from his family, insecure. A figure that many viewers can see themselves in. James does not wake up through some magical moment of enlightenment. He simply applies the 3 rules consistently, reading Marcus in the morning instead of scrolling his feed, taking cold showers, running, going to bed on time, forgiving his father, volunteering, and learning to love through service. These details are both concrete and intensely real, making the journey of transformation feel achievable, not some distant, unreachable ideal. The critical emphasis is the result. Not only that, his life changed, which could mean his work, relationships, circumstances, But that James's life energy changed. He became calmer, steadier, harder to shake. This is precisely the model of the modern Stoic that the video aims to promote. The Circle of Rebirth section, therefore, is not just a recap, but an emotional bridge from theory to a concrete life, so that the audience can see. If James could do it, maybe they too can start from today. In the ending, the author doesn't just conclude, but creates a ritual of declaration for the viewer. The lines, "I am the author of my transformation. I am the warrior of the mind, the guardian of the body, and the protector of the heart," turn the audience from passive listeners into the story's main character. This is a potent technique in motivational content. Instead of saying, "Try your best," it hands them a new identity to step into. The three images, warrior of the mind, guardian of the body, protector of the heart, gather the entire journey so far into a single symbol, the modern Stoic. A person who is not perfect, but takes responsibility for what happens within. The mind is no longer abandoned to social media. The body is no longer treated like a cheap tool. The heart is no longer left buried under layers of numbness. Each role is a reminder. You do not just have this life, you are standing watch over it. The statement, "There is no old life to go back to," strikes directly at the habit of regret, nostalgia, and daydreaming about if only. Back then, Stoic philosophy always emphasizes only the present moment is real. The added line, "There is only a new life waiting for you to dare to step up and claim it," creates a feeling that is both urgent and empowering. The new life does not fall from the sky. It waits for you to step forward. And the closing line, "The time to begin is not tomorrow, but right now," is a perfect emotional CTA. It doesn't tell the viewer to like, share, or subscribe. It tells them to take action with their own life. For a Stoicism-focused YouTube channel, this is the ideal ending message. Powerful, concise, and strong enough to stick with the viewer long after the video ends.